Okay, so hopefully this is the last one I'm going to do in the series of hit pieces that the fake news media has been putting out about sovereign citizens. We're going to finish on the interview that I showed a moment ago in the previous video, just grabbing some more things this guy says, and just breaking them down, and then we're going to go into why they're terrified.
With laws that apply to you and
I. So he's saying laws that apply to you and I. So what is he setting up here? He's saying that there's these so-called sovereign citizens, these fictional entities, believe that they can choose, that they're above. So this is that whole superior inferior thing, that, you know, we just get to just decide what we want to do and what we don't want to do, and no one can make us. You know, that's the idea that they're inducing into people's minds, right? And what do people do when they hear that? Same thing as if someone believes they can just jump a queue. You know what I mean? It's that same resistance that comes up where you want to do something to them and see them punished. You know, that's what they're inducing by setting it up this way. It's very, very cleverly done. It's the words are very carefully chosen to create this idea of these so-called bad people. And what do we want to do with bad people? We want to see them suffer and enjoy it. So here we go. He's going to do some more of that.
They see themselves as separate and different.
So there you go, separate and different. So he's building the case now, right? He's escalating it. You know, so now when you hear the word separate and different, you're going to, if you're a sleeper, you're going to think, oh, what this guy's doing, well, he's trying to put things back into balance. You know, this guy's doing the right thing. This guy that's smashing property, you know, committing violence, because that's what you do to bad people. They deserve violence, right? So it's setting up that permission for violence. So they put it right over the same time. It's not an accident that they've put his words over these actions, right? They are mentally coaching you into accepting, enjoying violence on others. You know, so the word separate means that, you know, it also is like you can separate yourself as the viewer from the pain and suffering of being in this position where you're standing up for that which is morally right, and being made to suffer. So it's, you know, it's really cleverly done, guys. So just sort of unpacking it for you.
They say that they don't consent to the jurisdiction, and by their own declaration, they're not bound by laws.
So, you know, like what they're saying is, well, these people just get to decide that they don't get to, you know, fit in like everyone else does, that they're not, you know, they can just wave a wand and say, no, that doesn't apply to me. Everything that they're saying that these sovereign citizens are doing is everything that they are doing, except they don't want you to join that club, right? They want it only for their select members who are specifically ordained to be in that club. And that's what's being protected here. So let's listen on.
So at that more extreme end, of course, that can end up being pretty dangerous, as we see in the video, but also...
So where was the danger in this video? That's what I'd like to see. I didn't see this woman raise her fist, scream out loud, you know, didn't say anything negative, wasn't hurling abuse. She didn't use any physical violence. She was just, you know, sorting out a vehicle, and then she came out when he was ripping on her arm. So there was only one individual committing violence here. Yet, you see how they do it? They put the words in there to tell you the opposite of what you're actually seeing. And when people don't pay attention, because most people don't, they'll just go, oh, well, whatever words are being said here, that must be the truth, because these people know what they're talking about. You know, this is all that reliant on other people.
The connections between those involved with the sovereign citizen or pseudo-law movement. And
so again, calls it pseudo-law, which is actually what they're doing. Their stuff has got nothing to do with law. It's all a fictional invention. I mean, you know, they have that idea, you know, of the person, right? We all know what the person is, right? That's a monster. And that's what they actually call all of us. It's in everything that they've ever written. And then they have the goal to say that anything that you do where actually is trying to get them to prove they have authority actually is called pseudo-law. You know, so this is that thing that the those ones who want to rule cannot be ever questioned, you know, and anything that cannot be questioned has no authority. That's one of the key things about that. Anything that has authority welcomes questions, because anything with authority gives you the option to refuse or accept, you know, consent or deny, you know, based on your own judgments of what is correct with the internal compass that you were preordained with. And they're just teaching you to go against all of that by using words and images, you know, very cleverly done. So I don't want to go too much more into that. Now I want to go into something else which really breaks it down and shows from a real simplistic point of view why they're terrified of you actually understanding that you are inherently capable of making decisions for yourself, right, without anyone else telling you how to do it, if they come from the moral compass, right? I just want to specify that. Anything that comes from your moral compass, you are more than capable of making a decision for, and do not need anyone to do that for you. And that's what they want to be, the intercessory that stands in that place and gets to decide what is right and wrong for you whenever they like. And this is what they're protecting, which is just another way of saying slavery. This is someone I had the good fortune of stumbling across through a recommendation from a friend. So I'm so pleased. I'll just bring it up a bit bigger that did that. So thank you so much. And anyway, he's going to explain government the way I've done it before, about just a decision-making body, really simplistically for any normie to understand.
So the people realise there is this law, this sort of natural law, that actually bad things are no good for us, but good things certainly help and are beneficial. So then they decide, well, what we really need is we need some people to sort of enforce this law, just to, in case people make the mistake of going bad. And so they maybe elect people, or they choose people, or they select a smaller number of people to represent them and to rule or set some rules which are beneficial for the people. They might call that a government, and they may police this by consent. And of course, we know that our police force, well, it very much used to be policed by consent. We would consent to it. And so you have this force, this government, which is there for the benevolence of everybody else. It's there to do the best for the people. So the people came first and the government came second. So what I'm trying to get to is the fact that if the government is no good, the people have the ability, should have, because they came first, to get rid of that government. That if the laws that the government make are not good, are not wholesome, are bad, or in a direction that people have not actually wanted, the people should be able to just get rid of them like that.
So there you have it, right? That's... Oops, I just cut myself off then. Too many things in front of me. So that's what they don't want you to know, right? They don't want you to know that you actually created government, just a bunch of people who are meant to be there making decisions on your behalf for your betterment. And if they're making decisions that are not for your benefit, then you can just get rid of them. That's what they're terrified of, right? The truth is starting to come out, and they're panicking badly. That's why they're doing these hit pieces. They need to shut it down. They need to get people to enjoy violence against those who stand up on principle, because it's the only way to defeat it. Is you need the support of the majority, and that's why they're scrambling to do it. So he's going to now talk about the legal and legislative system, which I spoke about earlier. How it's to unwind your moral compass. So it does it in a very simplistic way. So here we go.
Now, if you go back to this country and other countries around the world where we say that we have a democracy, and you look at some of the nonsense that's being dished out by this so-called government, you start to think that, hang on, who is in charge here? You're making these rules and you're giving us legislation. You're giving us rules. You're telling us what's legal and what's not legal. But that's got nothing to do with law, what's good for people and what's bad for people. So it seems to me there's this legal system, this legislative system, where people have come up with this concept, this...
See what he says? Like this legal system, this legislative system, they come up with this concept that goes against that which is innately true inside you, right? He puts it really simply.
System, this set of rules, which then they believe trumps what can we call natural law?
So there you go. He's just said it there, right? This set of rules that they like, that their prejudices, they get to do what they want. They get to be above being accountable for what they want, for what they do to others and how it causes harm, how it goes against the natural principles that exist in nature, right? And give themselves carte blanche. That's what these criminals are protecting. So when you see these hit pieces, that's everything right there in front of you. They're just protecting that that belief that they get the right to do that because they believe they're
sort
gods.
of good and bad for people. It seems to me that these people who we put in charge think that they're above the law, that they can say, no, what we want is what we want.
So here you go. The very thing that they're projected onto this, what they're calling the sovereign citizens, that they believe they're above the law, it's actually them. Like, he's explained it really, really well, right? It's very easy to follow when you just listen to it step by step. There's the motivation, right? It's always an inversion. Everything the criminal does, they always put on to the one they're doing it to. It's gaslighting 101.
And it's good for you. In other words, they're telling us what is good for you. But that's not how it works. That's not the system that the people have put in place. They're going by the only law that is in existence, this natural law, this what is good for them and what is bad for them is removed.
There you just said it, right? That if the people really understood the true nature of how decision-making bodies are set up, they're set up for those people who set them up, which is us, we the people, to be able to remove them when they no longer serve us as we're required. That's why it's called a system of service. That's why they're called public servants, right? And very few people know what that means. That's why they can keep throwing these hit pieces out, and most people swallow it up. So there's only 30 more seconds of the this one to go, and that'll be it. So just a little more and we're done.
And the people in Parliament seem to think that no, we're not going by that system. We're going by our system, this legal system. And so that we will pass a law and say we're going to net zero regardless. Oh, it's for your benefit. It'll be much better. You'll all have an electric car. The air will be greener, cleaner. Everything will be greener. And yet the people can look at that and go, okay, well, we'll choose if we want that. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you to offer it to us, but we'll choose that if we want it. It's a nice idea, but is it practical?
So there you have it, right? So he's just basically telling you everything, right? That we'll choose. They don't want you to choose for yourself, right? Even though you know how to. That's the entire structure. This is what they're protecting, that those criminals, get to decide how you're going to live your life based on their immoral principles. And that's all that's been protected here. So just so you understand what these hit pieces are about, is that ship is sinking and they're just scrambling to keep it alive. All right, that's it.